first half of breakfast is done. This is the second half. Starbucks sucks, but nothing better to get. All right, y'all, so I have a few questions written down in my notes, and I really do feel like they're gonna help a lot of people out, so I wanna get into them. I reached out to a few of my friends and I was like, yo, I'm making a video and I wanted to help people that are trying to get into camping, trying to get into overlanding, trying to get into wheeling, possibly want a Jeep, possibly, you know, just want to figure out what is the best route to get into this stuff. So I got a few questions. I think it's a little less than 10. So it's, you know, I'll go more in depth on them and to kind of share my experience and give you some tips on them. The first one is, my friend asked me, is a rooftop tent worth it? And I guess long story short, no. Because at the end of the day, camping is, you know, just going out, even if it's just hitting some trails, going out to some trails and just exploring. You know, it isn't, you know, it's not all about the equipment. You don't need a fridge, you don't need a tent, you don't need a scuttle, for crying out loud. You know, you could just go get the bare minimum and just explore. And that's, you know, I think that's the best way to find out, even if you're interested in any of it. Because I think just like during COVID, I noticed that a lot of people purchased things and like they bought like a rooftop tent, or, you know, a lot of people got into new things, and the minute COVID finished, none of them are doing any of these things anymore. So that's why you're seeing all these rooftop tents for sale for cheap, because people are like, all right, well, you know, everything's opening up and I'm not really using this thing, I'll sell it. You know, so that's why you're getting a lot of this stuff, you know, for a lot cheaper and, you know, a quarter of the price or whatever the case may be. But I think just going out exploring, using the bare minimum will really show you whether or not you do enjoy camping and whether you want to invest more money into it. So that's one thing I would say. From my experience, I definitely did go that route. I know now I have everything and everything that I want, and that some folks are like kind of like, you know, interested in but don't want to spend that much money. What I would say is I did that route. I went, you know, I slept on an air mattress in the back of my Jeep with my girlfriend, and to this day, you know, it's funny because we had the bare minimum. We had this super cheap ice chest that we got. It was like 15 bucks from Walmart. We had just like that water jug from Walmart, and there were things we needed to learn. We slept in the Jeep, and it was in the Airbeds mattress that I got off of Facebook Marketplace for like 50 bucks. And then we put everything in the front, just stuffed everything in the front, put the seats forward, and fell asleep in the back. And there was a lot of things we learned. I think the water, we left it on its side that it can, you know, spill out. So my girlfriend's whole seat was wet. But to this day, we both admit, like, yo, that was probably one of the funnest trips that we've done. Like, we both agree that that's by far, you know, that's a very memorable one because it got us, you know, interested in it all. So yeah, that's my recommendation, is don't invest so much money into it. Try things out first. Make sure you really are in, you know, make sure you really do enjoy doing this. Make sure you are comfortable with like the bare minimum, because I feel like, I mean, with anything in life, if you do the bare minimum and then you kind of upgrade, you're like more grateful for it. So I would totally recommend to just go try it out first, even if you don't get an air mattress. Like I told Chris, my best friend Chris, I told him, yo, like, when you had this Xterra, yeah, he honestly, I felt like he was gonna get into it pretty quick. Like we're pretty similar in things that we like. So I did tell him, like, yo, maybe before you do that, how about you just try it out first? So he even threw, he didn't even throw a mattress in the back of his Xterra. He just threw blankets and stuff, blankets so it could be comfortable, and slept back there, and he enjoyed it a lot. So, you know, maybe you'll have fun, and maybe you won't like it, and at least you find out the cheapest way and don't invest all that money into it. Because I have another friend of mine who just absolutely is not into it. Like, he just won't do it. I try to invite him all the time, and he's not interested in it at all. Alrighty, from another buddy of mine, he asks, you know, he asked a popular question because I guess some of his friends asked him too. Want to go overlanding, but it is so expensive. How do I get started? Honestly, for this, you can kind of refer to the last question I just gave, but like one tip I guess I will share is, if you're going camping with like friends, maybe splitting the cost on, you know, the majority of the things. And I guess for an example that I could think of is, like, obviously I mentioned I go camping all the time with my best friend Chris. We came up with an idea where we were like, yo, like, we both need an air compressor. Rather than buying one each, why don't we just buy one that we could just share, like a portable one, and we'll go half on it, because every time he goes camping, I'm going camping, so at the end of the day, we're both going to be using it anyways. And that goes for more than just equipment, right? Like, you could do that with, right now I'm actually in a group chat with my buddies I'm going to Big Bear with, like, hey, Do you guys want to just split the cost on food? Do you want to just take your own food? Like, what do you want to do with that? And honestly, everybody usually goes with the route of like, yo, let's just split the food so it's so much cheaper. So I totally recommend like splitting the cost for that like as much as you can. And always, you know, you can save a few bucks and then you can still enjoy your time, and everybody has a good meal. Everybody has a good experience of, you know, there's all the stuff you need there. So I personally go with the route of splitting. It's just so much easier. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Honestly, Overlanding has this thing where it's like, oh, it has to be so expensive. And honestly, I blame it on people that film, because then, you know, you're seeing the fridge, you're seeing the rooftop tent, you're seeing the awnings, and you're seeing all this equipment like the Scotto, and you're thinking, man, that shit is so expensive. Honestly, it's really not. It's not expensive at all. Because at the end of the day, it's really camping. It's just camping in an area that is, you know, you can't really get to. There's no Wi-Fi, there's nothing like that. You could do that without all this stuff. And like I said, I did it in Big Sur. So yeah, you could definitely get into it. This is for my friend that likes to teach me about going to 37s now. What is your gas like in the JK? So on my previous setup, I was running 35s, and then I had that the roof nest rooftop tent. I was averaging around 13.5 miles per gallon. Now I'm, you know, with 37s. I am running a lighter rooftop tent, so it kind of balances or goes back to what it was a little bit. Like, I don't lose too much. I'm averaging around 12.5 gallons of, or 12.5 miles per gallon. That's what I'm averaging. You know, it was at 13.5. Now I'm at 12.5 miles per gallon. If you're interested in a Jeep and you're worried about gas, definitely don't get one. I don't think anybody, like, I knew going into it, like, okay, I don't really care about the gas because I work remote, so gas is really, I don't care. Yeah, I really only drive on the weekends, or when I go camping, which is usually on the weekends. If not, I'm not, you know, requesting off days to go further places or whatever the case may be. But yeah, definitely, if gas is something you're worried about, I definitely would not recommend getting into any type of Jeep. They're not the greatest on gas. I like, even the 4xe, I know the hybrid thing is cool, but like, after you put all this weight on it and stuff, it's not good on gas. But like I said, miles per gallon, 1,000,000% is the way I go, just because, like I said, I knew going into this, like, this is not a good gas mileage vehicle, and I was totally fine with that because I only drive on the weekends. So yeah, that's what I average on gas. Okay, here's a super, like, common thing for Jeeps, and I know everyone's usually always worried about this, and they're kind of worried about, like, yo, I actually had someone, I went to a Pure 4x4. I went to a Pure 4x4 Toys for Tots. I'll post up the picture now. It's this older gentleman, this older Asian man came up to me, and he was asking me all these questions about my Jeep, and then his son came, who was into, like, vans, like, you know, the Sprinters, and those are really cool. I really like those. Expensive, but they're really cool. I need caffeine, sorry. The question is, and this older gentleman at that event asked me this: have you ever had death wobble on the JK? Okay, so I know what JK is, this, or just Jeeps in general, this can be a problem. Like, I know some folks are, like, scared about this. Like, this is why this man asked me this. Long story short, like, I guess technically I did, but it's not the Jeep's fault. It's more of a user error's fault. The reason I say I did is I had a bad, like, connector on my steering stabilizer, so it wasn't connected. So when I was on the freeway one time, I just got the death wobble. I got it pretty quick. I recognized that it was happening, so I knew how to deal with it after watching all these videos. But immediately I was like, wait, there's no way. Like, my Jeep's not that old. Like, all my bushings are good and whatnot. Like, my tires are good. I just got my suspension done not too long ago. I dropped it off to my mechanic's house. Shout out to Rob. I know he watches his videos. If you're watching this, Rob, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you. He noticed it was my stabilizer wasn't connected. He connected it, and I've never had death wobble since. So I honestly don't think I ever had it. You know, that's not my Jeep's fault that a bolt wasn't connected, you know, or the bolt was stripped or something like that. So yeah, I don't blame it on my Jeep. That was more of a user error. I should have noticed that my steering stabilizer wasn't connected. Also, I do want to share that, like, The amount of wear on your tires also has a lot to do with that. Just like the driving and how it feels. The reason I say that is because when I had 35s, I had a really shitty set of 35 mud terrains, and I told my mechanic I honestly hated driving the Jeep. My girlfriend was always complaining because it's like super bouncy on the freeway. Like I could never let go of the steering wheel. If I did, we'd probably die. The minute I got new tires, a new set of tires, and you know, they weren't all, you know, the tread wasn't all bad, my Jeep drove fantastic. I love driving this thing all over again. So I recognize that, like, yo, okay, tires definitely have a lot to do with it, because it drives fantastic now. I can let go of the steering wheel on the freeway when I'm going like 70, 75. It fixed every one of my issues. And honestly, I was like, man, I need to do the upper control arms, lower control arms. Granted, I'm still gonna do all that, but like, this thing drives fantastic. Like, I feel like when I got my suspension all over again, it drives so smooth. So yeah, I definitely think, like, yo, I know that has nothing to do with death wobble, I guess, per se, but if you're like, if you're worried about the drivability and how it feels on the road, definitely recommend like checking those tires, checking the tread on them, and getting new ones if you need to do that. Get those swapped out, because that definitely could have a lot to do with it, just based off of my experience. This question came up just because I was talking to my friend about, like, yo, what would I have changed on my JK? Or I think I even talked to my mechanic about this. Like, if I would have purchased something else, and I always tell him, like, damn, I should have got a Rubicon. But you know, I love my Jeep. I think this Jeep is freaking awesome. Like, my uncle taught me one thing. Shout out to David. He was like, yo, if you're paying your monthly payment, and every time you go back to your vehicle and you're genuinely happy about like paying it, like, it doesn't bother you, right? Like, because guys, that's a really big investment. Like, mind you, I bought this when I was 20 years old, so I just got my first big boy job. Like, it was a big step in my life. Like, to some people it's like, oh dude, it's just a vehicle. Yeah, but it's like, I'm 20 and this is like something that my parents aren't like giving me money to pay for. Like, I'm not asking my parents for gas, I'm not asking them for insurance. Like, it's my responsibility, right? He mentioned, like, yo, if you're paying this responsibility off every month and getting gas for it and keeping the maintenance up, like, are you gonna go back and look at it and be like, damn, like, what a waste, I should have got something else I wanted? Or, because I also did really want a Mustang. For those of you guys who don't know, I love the Mustangs. I still love Mustangs. I would love to get a 2014 Boss 302 one day. Love them. But I realized I was getting older. I really want something that has seats in the back, and you know, the car thing wasn't, I'm too big for that. Like I said, one day I'll get it, just not now. I genuinely go, like, I look back on my Jeep every time and I'm like, dude, this thing is freaking badass. Like, the amount of friends I made, like, I made a couple, my girlfriend and I hang out with our friends Jess and Chris now that we always hang out with them. We met them at a camping event, and like, I would have never met them if I got this thing. And that goes for a lot of things. I would have never met like Danny, I would have never met Hector, Chris and I would have never gotten to this thing. And like, Chris is my best friend. Sure, we would still continue to hang out, but man, do we love talking about camping stuff and overlanding videos and, you know, just shit like this. And I love this Jeep. But I will say, there's one model Jeep that I see quite often, because shout out to Level 10 Auto Rob. Every time I go over to his house, I see it, I'm just like drooling over it. It's also a firecracker red, just like this Jeep. I think that's why I'm always like, damn, man, I wish I would have got something like that. His daughter also has one, and like that, it almost looks like Destroyer Gray, I guess, like that you know, Dodge has. But the Jeep Rubicon Recon Edition, man, dude, like, there is something about those bumpers and that, the grill, the matte black grill with the matte black logo with the red outlining. Like, that Jeep to me is like the most perfect Jeep. I think it's so pretty. Obviously it comes with the lockers and, you know, better things of that sort, like, you know, better things for off-roading, but just visibly, like physically, the way that Jeep looks, I think is mint. Like, everything about it's sick. And like I said, my mechanic has it, and I like to remind him all the time, like, yo, if you ever get rid of that bumper, and you know, let me know. I'm there. Even like the hood of the Jeep, I think it's just like the hood, the bumpers, the Jeep just looks way better. And like I said, of course, it has the better axles, like a Dana 44 and whatnot. Like, yeah. I would go with the JK. I do like the JLs, but I think the JK Recon Edition. That's like the prettiest Jeep in my opinion. So yeah, I would definitely go with that if I could. That's probably the only thing I would ever change. Other than that, I love my Firecracker red. I love the red, so I wouldn't get rid of it. What vehicles do I recommend for wheeling or overlanding? I'm biased. I'm a Jeep guy through and thin. I think Jeep is the best. But there's one specific vehicle I will share. If money is not an issue and you're trying to get into camping and overlanding and wheeling, I say Gladiator is the best route. I think that's the best platform you could possibly go with. The aftermarket is, there's so many of it parts available for it. It's a Jeep, so you get the solid axle. And then you have the bed, so you get so much more room. One thing that I absolutely love, like one part, if I ever had a Gladiator, which I never will because I don't ever plan on getting rid of this, JK. But if I did have a Gladiator, like the Go Fast campers, I think those things are freaking, they just, not only do they look good, but man, they just have everything you need. You have the tent already on the freaking bed. You have all that room still left over in the bed of your truck, so you could put all your equipment back there. And on the inside, like, you don't have anything on there if you really want. Like, you can have no camping stuff at all. So yeah, I definitely think the Gladiator is the best route to go when it comes to wheeling and overlanding, and you know, if money was an issue. If you're like in high school and you're trying to get into this, and I know obviously you're kind of, it's a little different because you're not working, or even if you do, it's not like you have all the money in the world, right? At least the majority of high school kids aren't making probably enough to go get themselves a Gladiator, you know what I'm saying? Or if you do, it's probably not the smartest thing to get. So I personally, if I was in high school and I was wanting to get into like overlanding or you know, wheeling, I'm just gonna go based off experience, just because I've seen it and I know the market and you know, things of that sort, the reliability. I think after watching Chris build his 3rd gen, I think the 3rd gen's a route to go with. Like, you get Toyota's reliability, but even on top of the reliability, like Toyota, granted, like of course things can be expensive, but like it's Toyota, so the majority of the things are pretty much like you could get that repaired for a lower cost than what it would be for probably another vehicle, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely think the 3rd gen platform is great, and I know a lot of people like to say it's so expensive, which yeah, of course there are things that are expensive. If you want to get a full long arm, like a long arm kit, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive for any vehicle you go to. But if you're really just throwing like a nice little lift on it, some Bilsteins on it, and like I said, I am going to base off of experience because I saw my buddy go get all these parts and it was fairly cheap. The roof rack, he got it fairly cheap. He did not pay the retail price that it is, which is I think like $1,200 or something like that, $1,000. He didn't pay anywhere near that. So I think the 3rd gen is the route to go with. And I mentioned the roof rack, but there's other parts that Chris got that are helpful to go camping, and he did not pay the retail price. He could definitely got it for a much cheaper price. So I definitely think the 3rd gen route is the way to go. There's a bunch of aftermarket parts for it, you know. It's a Toyota, like we said, so the reliability is fantastic. So I definitely think that. I think it would also be easier to tell your parents, hey, can I get a 3rd gen 4Runner instead of, hey, can I get a 2022 or 2019 Jeep? You know, I just think it's a much easier thing to purchase when you're at that age. So I recommend, if money's not an issue, go get a Gladiator. If it is, I know the market's still a little higher, but it's much cheaper than a Gladiator. I would say get a 3rd gen. If money was not an issue, what would your build plan be on your JK? This is actually pretty easy for me to answer because it's something I hope to have one day. I plan on doing this anyways, but I need to upgrade my axles first off. I need to do a Dana 44. I'm gonna do a Dynatrac Dana 44 in the front, and then if money wasn't an issue, I go with the Dana 60 in the back with the e-locker front and rear. That's like, I guess, that's like perfect world, right? And like I said, I'll probably end up getting the Dana 44 in the front anyways. I need to, like re-gear and everything, so I'm gonna do that. But like, if I could do that right now, if money was an issue, definitely would get a Dana 44 in the front, Dana 60 in the rear. And then just something that, like, I'm gonna mention something just because I mainly go camping. I don't go wheeling as much as I mention all the time. I think that the Goose Gear platform system that they make for the Jeep JK is like, not only is it like the most helpful thing I feel like it would be like, but it is so pretty. I absolutely love looking at the goose gear system. Whenever I see people on Instagram or YouTube or even in person, whenever I've seen it, man, I just drool over the part. I think it's like, not only because it looks so pretty, but it's so helpful. Like, it just makes everything in the back look so organized and clean, and it has all the, even like the side cubbies. Like, I'm always keeping an eye out on Facebook Market and OfferUp and whatnot to see if they have that platform system, as well as the drawer system that they sell with the fridge slide. Like, I think it looks beautiful. Like, I really do enjoy my drawer system, and I think it's sick and it's helpful. But that platform system with the drawer system, like from Goose Gear, that's a part I would love to have. Quite expensive, so I try to keep an eye out to see if possibly someone will get one posted for sale for much cheaper. So yeah, that's definitely what I hope to one day have in this JK. Alright, here's one that I actually put down just because this is, I feel like when you watch like overlanding videos, like even trail recon, there's always one thing everyone shares, and it's cooking. Like, yo, what are you eating when you're camping? So your favorite camping meal. This is funny because my girlfriend, she has GERD, and for those of you who don't know what GERD is, I'm not really gonna get into it. Look it up if you want. It limits you on things you could eat, basically. Oh, but like, this is one meal that we both really enjoy because I honestly, I don't feel like it's gross. Like, it's delicious. It makes me full. It's super easy to make. It basically checks off all the boxes. Basically, it's like a stir fry, with like this spicy turkey sausage, the veggies, and then we also use some brown rice. That is like our go-to camping meal. When we camped out in Coachella for the music festival, that's what we made. I think twice. So yeah, that's definitely one of our meals that we enjoy making, just because it checks off all the boxes and it tastes good. In my video, I think it's sharing Big Bear with new friends, we made burgers for that one, and then chicken noodle soup. My friends all enjoy the chicken noodle soup a lot. Like, they always tell me that they want me to make it, that's good. Don't get me wrong, that's good. There's another soup video I really want to make, and hopefully when we go down to Big Bear this next time, I'll make some. But we have these burgers from a local grocery store here that we have. We purchased burgers that were like, they were pretty pricey, I'm not gonna lie. I think it was like $4 a patty or something like that. So yeah, they were pretty expensive. Holy crap though, those things are freaking good. Like, everyone was talking about it. And my girlfriend, like, I mean, we love In-N-Out. In-N-Out is our favorite thing. Of course, being in SoCal, I used to work at In-N-Out for 3.5 years. So I'm pretty biased about burgers, but man, those burger patties were pretty damn good. And then we had them on like a Hawaiian roll burger bun. Man, couldn't beat it. That was damn good. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Yeah, so that's it, y'all. I got into a few questions. I hope I helped a few folks out. You know, if any of y'all have any other questions, or if you guys need some help with anything or any tips or tricks, feel free to comment them. I do go through the comments, or DM me even. Whatever y'all, if y'all have any questions, anything, feel free to comment down below, and I'd love to help y'all out. But yeah, I was just thinking like, yo, this would be a super helpful video for me if I were, you know, once I was getting into it, because the person that I watched was Trail Recon, and I would, you know, I owe it to him on this build because I watched his stuff and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, this is cool, whatever the case may be, right? So if I had someone that was like, yo, this is like a few ways you could save some money, this is like my experience, I would have really enjoyed that. So I do wanted to drop this video just to share that with y'all. And I know that right now it's a bunch of talking videos and installing videos or whatever the case may be, but we're going camping, y'all. We're going camping. I am super excited, and we're going camping fairly close, like back to back. I keep mentioning it, we're going to Big Bear twice, so that should be a lot of fun. And then I'm gonna go to Big Sur with my girlfriend, and then we'll plan something after that, because I definitely want to keep the camping going. I want to just keep dropping camping videos. Those are my favorite videos, to be honest. The videos where I'm camping and I'm able to get a little more creative with the filming and editing, those are my favorite. So yeah, y'all, I appreciate you guys. If you really do enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, like the video, make sure to share it with your friends so you can give them any tips. And other than that, y'all, I'll catch y'all later.